Hi guys. I I've been very conflicted about talking about this story, but this story really captivated me. It really captivated my heart and I felt the need to talk about it because our children are often left unprotected. It's very sad, as we know in society, relationships don't always last. Or we have a lot of single parent mothers. And understandably enough, single parent mothers want to get married, they want to have relationships. But when you have children, you have a responsibility above a man to protect your children above all costs. And with that, there is a responsibility that you have to ensure that any individual you bring into your house with your child is safe. So this story really captivated me, guys. I was so conflicted because it hurt me so bad to talk about what happened, child abuse and stuff. I don't really like talking about those type of cases because it does hit a heart nerve. But Lauren Juma, really, her story needs to be heard. It's so sad. So who is Lauren Juma? Lauren Juma is this beautiful girl. She has a older sibling. Her older sister, I believe, is in the military or something like that. But she has an older sister who left home to go to the military. And Lauren is 16 years old. She's a sophomore in high school. She just made the cheerleading team. Her dream was to either join, I think, the military, or she wanted to become a police officer. So she really was into law enforcement. But she had great goals. She's just a sweet, sweet girl. And her life was taken tragically on April 29th. Her mother has been in a relationship with a man, and they allegedly, based upon what the neighbors are saying, is she had a long relationship with this man. She was in a relationship with him for about 5 to 6 years. That's what some sources are saying. Other sources are saying it's around 3 years. But at least it's been a while. She's been in a relationship with him. His family members allege that he loved Lauren like his own child. He did have a drinking problem. So that was a red flag for me because in this incident, he was intoxicated during the incident. So the mother had to have been aware that this individual that she was in a relationship with, even though it was long term, that this individual had a drinking problem. And when individuals get intoxicated, it can affect their decision making. And another issue, it brings out underlying desires that he may have already had, sadly, for this girl. One of the dangers of single parents, especially single parent women, is of course they want to find love. But with that, they don't really realize what is going on in the mind of those men that they do let into their life and introduce to their children. Some of these men have very perverted views of young women, young kids, young teenager girls who are developing. And they keep these buried in their mind, and they will present themselves in a sheep wolf clothing, but they're really a wolf in sheep clothing. Sorry, they'll be really a wolf in sheep clothing. They will present themselves as gentlemen to the women, single women, and they will, wine and dine them. They will love bomb them. What is love bombing? They'll give them all the gifts and everything and tell them what a beautiful woman they are, just so that they can get close to their vulnerable young girls, their daughters. So the reality is that these men really don't want the mother, but they will do everything they can to court the woman, make her feel like she's wanted, so that they can get what they ultimately want, is get the young girl. Sadly, get to the young girl. So my theory is that he had already been watching this young girl. It's very sad. He'd been in a relationship for many years. He had watched this young girl grow up over the years, and he had secretly lusted after her, sadly. Okay? And when the opportunity presented itself where she was alone and she was vulnerable, he took advantage of that. And this really hurts me. And I want to just send a word out to mothers out there who are dating, who are single. So let's talk about what happened. So again, young lady, her sister moved out of the house. The mother on this weekend, this April 29th, she left the home. she left her daughter Lauren in the care of this man who was allegedly the stepfather. I know on the other side, people are saying they know each other, but she left her daughter in the care of this man. Okay. And she goes off to it's like a workshop. She leaves for some type of job. I don't know if it's a workshop she's in, but it's related to her employment. So she leaves for some type of employment workshop or something like that, from what I hear. And this young girl is left alone in the house with this predator. My thing is, here's my thing. If a young girl, if a man, if you're in a relationship and you're a single parent, if that man is not the biological father of that child, these young girls should not be left alone with these men. I'm sorry. I don't care if you've been in a relationship for many, many years. If you're not married to this person, you shouldn't be. And even then, actually, no, let's talk about that, because we had a case recently with Rachel. Actually, the biological father, they're married. I have a video on this where the biological father molested his biological daughter and they were legally married. So that's, guys, that part, this stuff happens. We got to choose better. But at least we can set parameters for those particular parents who are single parent mothers, who are dating or in a long-term relationship with an individual who's not the biological father of that child. Those individuals, I don't care how long you've been in a relationship, they should not be left alone with your teen daughter in a house. I'm sorry. I don't care how much trust you have, they should not be left alone. You can, if you're going to go out of town, then you can have them stay with a friend that you trust, or a sibling. They have an older sibling, they can go to the sibling's house. They can go to their grandparents. But I just personally just don't think it's just the right thing to do to leave a teenage girl with a man who's not their biological father that you're dating. I just don't. That's just my opinion. You guys can give your opinion in the chat or, in the comments what you think. But I think that's the first thing. We should set up safeguards for our kids that are not biologically related to these men. Another red flag. If you know a guy has a drinking problem, drinking, drugs, those type of things can suppress the cognitive capability in individuals who have these underlying perverted desires surface when they are intoxicated, and it lowers their inhibitions and they make these drastic decisions. So when the mother left for her job workshop or whatever, this young girl was left home alone. She's 16 years old, home alone with this man who has a drinking problem. And the mother had to have known that. If she was in a relationship with this guy 3 to 6 years, depending on the range, she knew that he had drinking issues. She knew some of the red flags that were there, and she didn't take that into consideration. She could have, and this young girl had a older sister that she could have stayed the night at. So that's why I don't understand why the young girl didn't just stay there. But anyways, so she's at home with this man. She's in her room. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. And this predator, he opens her door at 1 o'clock in the morning while the girl's laying in her bed. And the young girl immediately calls her mother, FaceTimes her mother, and tells her mother that he is acting weird. Now that is a red flag. Acting weird, when a young girl says that, acting weird, he might have been doing sexual things or just acting really out of the norm, because young girls don't really know how to understand what the guy's doing, so they'll just describe it as weird, but in reality he's doing something he should not be doing. So he opened her door, he's watching her as she sleeps. She immediately FaceTimes her mother, tells her mother he's acting weird, and she's very concerned, and she even tells him that he has a firearm. She also calls her older sister to let her older sister know he's acting weird and to come pick her up. I believe the older sister called the authorities and then came over there to try to get her sister. Sadly, it was too late. By the time the older sister got there, they heard 2 gunshots and a scream. And it was the young girl. He took her life. And when the officers did arrive, they find her with her pants down to her ankles. And the predator, when he's walking out of the house, he is fixing his pants. So his pants were undone and he's fixing it. So what does that mean? This was a sexually motivated crime. He took advantage of her, and he didn't want that information out, so he took her life. That's what happened. It is what it is. That's what happened. And it is so tragic and so heartbreaking that this beautiful girl lost her life for a perverted man and his perverted pleasures while he was intoxicated. And this young girl should have been protected. I mean, we shouldn't blame the mother. I get it. Don't blame the mother. But when we have these situations where we have single parents, they should put up certain safeguards when a man is not the biological father. And we just have to choose better for our family, for our kids, in terms of the relationships we're in. There are red flags that you can look out for. Number one, do they have a drinking problem or drug issue? Number two, how do they treat you? Are they abusive? Three, you need to look at the way they look at your children, your daughters. They have a certain look. You can look at them and you can tell the way they are looking at your daughter, the way they interact with your daughter. But we have to look at the signs. We cannot allow our emotions to override the protection of our children. In this case, really just, it broke my heart to know that this young girl, her whole life, her dreams, everything taken away because of a perverted man who wasn't even biologically related to her, and she wasn't protected. She was left home alone with this man. Now I get it. The mother's argument is, I've known him for many years. We've been in a relationship for a long time. He treated her like a daughter. You know, I would never expect him to do that. I get it. But I don't think a young girl should be left alone with a man who's not her biological father in the house. I just don't. And although that's not the only safety measures, because we do have biological fathers who do this as well, because of the recent incident with Rachel Blackshear, I am aware of that. I just think as it relates to these cases, I've seen so many cases where stepfathers or individuals that are brought in the house by single parent mothers are committing these crimes most of the time. So let's just read the article. Texas teen FaceTime mother saying mom's boyfriend was acting weird. Now man is accused of taking her life. So Lauren Juma's dream was to enter the military and become a police officer after graduating from high school, according to her family, who is grieving the loss of this promising, beautiful young woman. A Texas man is being held on a $2 million bond after allegedly shooting and killing his girlfriend's 16-year-old daughter, says authorities. And the man's name is Vance Henry Brisbon, I think that's the name, I can't pronounce it, but Van Henry Brisbon. He's 60 years old, of Humble. And the thing is, even his family have totally abandoned him. They are on the side of the mother and this deceased, beautiful 16-year-old girl. So that's what I'm proud of, is that his family is not taking up for him, because a lot of times we have mothers and people of these individuals that defend these individuals, but they're holding him accountable to say, no, he needs to be held accountable. So I like that part, that his siblings are, his family members are holding him accountable. But he was arrested. He's on a $2 million bond. And the thing that was disturbing about this case, you guys, after he brutally takes her life, molests her, because I believe he did do that, because why was her pants undone, his pants undone? We already know that you could put that together, you guys. You guys already know what happened and why this case happened and what was the motive. It was perversion. But basically, when he gets out of the house, he says there's cops all surrounding him, and he says, do what you have to do. So he's basically trying to have the cops go ahead and take him out, because he's a coward. He doesn't want to face consequences. So I'm glad they didn't take him out, that they actually are going to hold him accountable, because that would have been too easy for him. He needs to be held accountable for what he did to take this young girl's life. This is a 60-year-old man who molested this 16-year-old girl and took her life away from her. He had a long life, and he took this girl's life because of his perversion and sickness. I'm sorry, guys. This case just really disturbed me. So he was arrested. He's charged with murder in connection with the high school students, her death. And early Friday morning, just after 1 a.m., a young woman called 911 and said her mother's boyfriend was holding her 16-year-old sister captive at gunpoint inside their home. Lauren's mother was out of town for work when the teen reached out to her, begging to save her life. She said, my baby called me, FaceTimed me, and said, Mom, help me. Her mom, and then just imagine a mom, oh my gosh, you're out of town for work and your child FaceTimes you and you literally can't do anything about it because you're miles and miles away. I can't even imagine what the mom was feeling, because she could not do anything. Like, she couldn't even get to the house in time. So that's the last time she heard from her voice. Oh man, I can't imagine. Lauren also called her sister, according to the outlet. She just wanted to get away. That's what the sister says. She just wanted to get away. That's all she wanted, Lauren's sister. Karika Harmon told the news. She just said he was being really weird and wanted me to pick her and really wanted her to pick her up. So, like I said, when he's acting weird, it means he was probably lusting after her, watching her as she slept, probably, doing inappropriate things. And of course, her being teen, she probably didn't know how to really describe it, what he was doing, but that's how they describe weird as. Oh gosh, sorry. I hate when these things pop up. What is this? I don't know what this is, guys. It just interrupted my entire thing here. But anyway, so here's the pervert, the sick guy. Oh, I'm so disgusted by him. So deputies who arrived on the scene heard gunshots as they approached the front door, you guys. Before they even get there, they hear the gunshots. Brisbon exited the front door and was taken into custody and was not cooperative with investigators. But when he came out, the key fact was he was fixing his pants. And this girl was found with her pants undone. So we already know. We know what happened. Inside, they found Lauren dead from gunshot wounds, they said. And 2 people inside the resident at the time of the murder. So the only 2 people inside was Lauren and Brisbane. That should have not happened from the beginning. She should not have been left alone with this man. I'm sorry. I know they've been together for 6 years. Like all excuses people say, she was a stepdad, he was a stepdad. Because he's not biologically related and they're not legally married, I think the mother should have let her sleep at her sister's house or some other place. She knew that he had a drinking problem. Drinking problems don't just happen randomly. She knows how he acts when he's under the influence, because clearly she's been with him for many years. With that in her mind, she should have just already just had her daughter somewhere else. I don't care if there's a history of him being nice and caring and kind. There's just certain things that you just, common sense, certain things, when you have a man and you got a teenage young girl and you're not married and this is not the biological parent, I just don't think it's the safe thing to leave a young girl, a developing teenager, in the house with a man by herself. I just don't think that's a safe choice for a child. And I can speak from that because I was in that same predicament. I grew up in a family where my mom had different men in and out of the house. And I didn't feel safe. I would see how these men would look at me and lust after me and say certain comments. And my mom did not protect me. Thank God the Lord protected me and shielded me from any type of incident like this. But it was but for the grace of God that I was protected. It was God's grace. If it wasn't for God, I would have been in the same situation, because we have a lot of single parents, understandably enough. They want to move on. They want to have families. I get it. But the ultimate maximum responsibility that we have when we have kids is protect that child beyond our desires in life. I'm sorry. And then you can get a relationship, but you still have to screen those men. And even then, a lot of them will be wolf in sheep clothing. So you have to still take an extra safety measure to say, if I leave, my daughter's not going to be left alone with any man that I'm not, they're not the biological father. That kid needs to be somewhere else in a safe grandparents. There's other people she could have stayed with. She's a teenage young lady. So they said the motive for the murder is unknown. You guys, it's very common sense what the motive is. I don't know why they're trying to beat around the bush. The motive was perversion. It was this man had a perverted perspective of this young lady. I believe he was lusting after her for many years. He was seeing her develop into this young lady. He was watching her the whole time. I think even while the mother was around, he pretended to love and be kind to her because he lusted for her. I know that because I was in the same predicament as a kid. I had a stepdad who would lust after me and be so kind and pretend to be a stepdad to me. But I knew that something was not right about the way he was so connected to me, because I didn't like him for sure. I'm like, why is this man so attached to me? I don't even know this guy. He keeps trying to get close to me. Thank God the Lord protected me. I could just say that, guys. The Lord was there to shield me. But that doesn't always happen in these situations. It doesn't always happen. So sadly, this young girl's life was taken, and it was because of perversion. So, but in Brisbane's first appearance, I can't say this guy's name for anything. Brisbane's first appearance in court Monday morning, the judge and others heard disturbing details of the Nimitz High School cheerleader's last moments. And sadly, she was a cheerleader. She was enjoying her life, and it just, Investigators asked they need to do this essay test to be performed on Lauren. Oh, yes, that needs to be done ASAP. They need to do the essay test, and they need to get his DNA, because they will find a match, guaranteed, because that was the motive. It's very obvious in most of these cases when you see an older man who's allegedly in the house as a stepdad who kills a girl, it's always essay motivated. Most of the time, you guys, most of the time, there's other cases like this out there. And it's usually because they have this perverted desire for this young girl and they're just with the mother to prey on the young girls. It's very common. And they love bomb these women to gain their trust, and they pretend to be so loving and kind to the daughter because that's who they really want. It's very sad. And a lot of women who are vulnerable, who are single parents, they just want love. They just want to be loved. And there is actually a scripture in the Bible. I don't have it on hand, but if I find it, guys, I'll try to post it in the description. But it talks about how they say men will basically be predators of these single parent households. It's not the same words I'm using, but they will prey on women like that and get into the house and take advantage of them. There's actually a scripture in the Bible on that. I was shocked when I saw in the Bible because I was like, wow, this is actually happening in real time. So when the end of the days happen, these type of things happen. You see that these men, they prey on women. They don't really want the woman. They see that the woman has a nice young daughter that they really want. So they go ahead and they love bomb these women. And the women are looking for love. And they want to be loved. And they want to have this guy come in as the stepdad or whatever to fill that family, void of the mother and father that's missing, the father part component that's missing. And so they will accept all this love bombing without really thinking about the potential danger that they may be placing their young daughters or sometimes sons in. And this is just so heartbreaking. I'm sorry, guys, that I'm so emotional, but this one really hurt me. But let's look at the key factor that I told you guys about. It said deputies found Lauren with her pants down to her knees with multiple gunshots. Okay, so what do you think happened there? Why is her pants down? And why was he fixing his pants? It says Brisbane's pants were also down when deputies arrested him. So that's the motive right there. I don't know why the cops are saying they don't have a motive. It's right there. You can put the facts together. We learn, as an attorney, we know there's two types of evidence. There's circumstantial evidence, which is not, you have to put the pieces together. It's like a puzzle. So circumstantial evidence is, for example, if you're in a room and someone comes in with an umbrella, they're soaking wet, what can you infer from that? Just those facts. It's raining outside. You didn't have to go outside to see it. You saw this person come in wet with an umbrella. You can infer. That's circumstantial evidence. Direct evidence would be you actually physically go outside and you see that it's raining. Okay? This here with both pants down, we got our victim with pants down to her knees. We got him with his pants down. That's circumstantial evidence that this man murdered this young girl due to his perverted motive to have his way with her. And that was what he wanted the whole time. That's why I talked to you guys about the mind. The mind is a dangerous place. And I believe this man had on his mind many, many years as he's been watching this girl develop that he wanted to take advantage of her. And he had the right time to do it. He was intoxicated, so his inhibitions were lowered. And the mother was gone. So he had the opportunity and the time frame to do what he had been wanting to do for a long time. It had to have manifested in his mind first. That's where the thoughts started. And it just really breaks my heart because this young girl, she deserved better. This sick man, look at him, he's so sick. Sorry, guys. And you can see his bloodshot eyes. So bloodshot eyes is one of the indicators that you notice when someone's intoxicated. And you can see here, definitely the bloodshot eyes. So this was the photo taken at the time he was arrested. So clearly he was under the influence. The mother knew that he had a drinking problem. So I get the mother's excuses that she's been with him for years. He's treated the daughter like his own. I get it. But this man has a drinking problem. And when people drink, they don't act, rational. And it lowers a person's inhibition. So the underlying thoughts that they've had in their mind now come to surface, and they usually act upon those thoughts. So if someone has anger issues under the surface and they suppress it when they're sober, when they're not sober, they act on those violent, angry tendencies. And that is what he did. And he took this poor girl away from her family, away from her dreams, away from her life. We need to do better, guys. We need to do better. So let's just watch this video about this case, and we will close up.
School sophomore was shot and killed overnight by her mother's boyfriend. Police, that suspect held 16-year-old Lauren Juma captive before shooting her.
Deputies say when they arrived, they heard a gunshot, then screaming. It all happened at a home on Canton Trace, that's near FM 1960 and Lee Road in the Humble area. Our Marcelino Benito joins us live. Marcelino, the victim's family just spoke.
Well, that's right, Len. This family is in absolute shock, desperate to understand how a man they trusted for years could all of a sudden murder an innocent teenager.
So yeah, you guys, it's just let's do another video of. Sorry, this thing is taking a while. I don't like. I'm having issues.
And I just don't
Here it
understand
is.
why.
Lori Young can't help but replay her daughter
That's her
Lauren's
mother.
final moments.
I just know my baby called me on the phone, FaceTime me, and she said, "Mom, help me."
Lori was at work in Austin. 16-year-old Lauren Juma was inside the family home near Humble with her mom's boyfriend, 60-year-old Van Brisbon. What was happening inside, still a mystery. But Lauren also called her older sister for help before the deadly shooting.
Oh,
She
come
just
on.
said that he was being really weird. She wanted me to come pick her up.
Investigators say Brisbane was holding Lauren against her will with a gun to her head. Deputies swarmed the home this morning.
And I was there for about 3 minutes before I heard 2 gunshots go off. And I could just remember running up to the house and the officers telling me to go back to my car.
Now Brisbane is charged with murder.
She just wanted to get away. That's all she wanted.
And the family is left to grieve the loss of a daughter and sister.
She was really beautiful. She had a beautiful soul. She just wanted to go out and enjoy life.
Lauren was a sophomore at Nimitz High, had just made it onto the cheer squad, and wanted to head to the Air Force after graduation.
And he treated Lauren like she was his baby. And I just don't understand.
Investigators say Brisbane is not cooperating and a motive still unclear. Lauren's mother, who spent 5 years by his side, says nothing he can say will make this make any sense.
And he get rotten in jail. He had no reason for taking my baby's life.
And we do hope to learn more once Brisbane does make his first court appearance. If you'd like to help this family with funeral costs,
Yeah, so I'm just a little stuck with the whole, we don't know what happened in the house. It's a mystery. Come on, guys, call it for what it is. We know exactly what happened in there. This man was intoxicated, and that's why they keep doing it, because we keep covering up the facts. This man went in there for a purpose. He knew that he had the opportunity and he had the capability to do what he wanted to do. We know what happened in there. He was intoxicated, and he
So you can get more. Like Manny, event planner.
and he took advantage of this girl who was left vulnerable and unprotected. And I get the mother's stance is that she was with him for 5 years. Okay, we got confirmation from the video. She was with him for 5 years. He treated her like a child. I get it, but you cannot base it on just that, because these individuals are very sly and they're very smooth. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. They will appear angelic. They will love bomb you. They will treat the young girl as an angel. I've been there as a young girl. I've been the same young girl. They pretend to act as though they care so deeply, but they have hidden disgusting, perverted motives for why they are doing that, because they really don't want the mother. They really want the girl, and they just wait for the opportunity to do so. And he got that opportunity, and they will wait patiently. They will wait patiently. It's so sick too, guys, because they will be thinking about the young girl while they're with the mother, and they're having a relationship with the mother. They'll be thinking about the young girl. They say they meditate on it for a long time. So this man's been meditating on this time to be able to do what he wanted to do for 5 years. I guarantee you he did. He already had been watching this girl from the very beginning. And as she was growing up, she was becoming this beautiful girl. She's developing. And he had this sick mindset from the beginning. And when he got under the influence, he took advantage of that. And I know the mother's like, oh, I don't understand. We still have a responsibility. I don't care if we've been with someone for 5 years. You don't leave your children with these men. You have to take them, let them go to a grandparents or somewhere like a sibling, or maybe even to a friend's house that you can trust, that you know that you can rely upon. But not leave a grown man who you know drinks alcohol as well. Drinks alcohol, whatever other drugs he does. You know that he does those type of things, because that can suppress even the decision making. So that's just my view on this, guys. I'm sorry for being so emotional. This story just really broke my heart when I heard about it, and I thought it'd be good to share and talk about it. All right, take care, guys. Have a good day.